Greetings, brothers and sisters. Today is August 3rd, 2024. This will be session 6 of our UNIA-ACL Constitution study this year. We were studying the text earlier, January, March. I think we stopped around April. We're picking it up again now for the first time in August. My name is Brother John Hargrove, serve as president for UNIA-ACL Division 421 in Atlanta. I think I just deleted the rituals, some of them. We're just going to do a brief prayer. If you would, please humble yourselves. Almighty Savior. No, wait, that's not the one I wanted. I'm sorry. It's this one. Where's 6 and 7? Okay, I need this piece. All right, my apologies. I'll try it again. If you will, please humble yourselves. Almighty God, whose kingdom is everlasting and power infinite, be gracious unto the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and so rule the hearts of thy servants, the President General, and the members of the High Executive Council, and all others in authority, that they, knowing the great responsibilities of their office, may above all things seek the honor and welfare of this race, and grant that all of our people, considering their authority they bear, may faithfully and obediently honor them in accordance with their laws, through Jesus Christ our Lord, who with thee and the Holy Ghost liveth and reigneth ever, one God, one world, without end. Amen. Now I'll briefly do the pledge. We'll do call and response for tonight, if you would like. If you would, please, you can come off mute and put your black fist in the air. You can repeat after me. I commit my body, mind, and spirit
I commit my body, mind, and spirit
to the protection, defense, and security
to the protection, defense, and security
of the red, black, and green.
of the red, black, and green.
I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa
I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa
and the liberation of her scattered black children.
and the liberation of her scattered black children.
I accept for myself and my descendants
I accept for myself and my descendants
the teachings of universal African nationalism.
The teachings of universal
African nationalism.
And I promise that our children will be instilled
And I promise that our children will be instilled
with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people.
with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people.
In order that the cause of our struggle
In order that the cause of our struggle
will neither falter nor fail
will neither falter nor fail
until all Black people are free and united
until all Black people are free and united
through one God, one aim,
and
one destiny.
one destiny.
Place first. Great job, everybody.
Place first.
Okay, so tonight we're continuing our Constitution study. I'm going to do a brief recap of the previous things that we discussed. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go through the previous section. So one thing that we should know from the previous study, one of the big things to take away is the fact that the Constitution is broken up into 3 sections. First section is called the Constitution. Second section is titled General Laws. And the third section is titled Bylaws. So in the beginning of the year, we went through the Constitution portion, and that's what I'll go through here again briefly. And tonight or today, we're starting out the general laws section. So first thing in regards to our Constitution is our preamble, which we all should know. And give me a moment. I'll read that. That's something we should commit to memory. So any chance that we get to share the preamble during our meetings, we should do so. So I'll start out with the preamble. And I'm not going to read the whole Constitution, obviously, but I am going to read the entire preamble. Preamble is the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind, believing always in the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man. But with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. Constitution and Book of Laws made for the government of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League in effect July 1918. All members should have physical copies. If you have paid your joining fee, and as I've just learned, you should also pay your yearly assessment. But if you pay your joining fee, pay your assessment, you are active or have been active at one time, then you have a right to a constitution from your local division. So as we're going through this, I hope everyone has their constitution handy nearby to follow along and verify what we're saying. All right, so that's the preamble. First thing that the Constitution talks about is Article 1, and that's jurisdiction. The jurisdiction of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, based on the Constitution, states that its jurisdiction is where all Africans, or as the Constitution says, Negroes, well, I think we changed it to Africans, reside. So anywhere African people are, the UNIA Constitution would be able to enforce authority in that land, given that those Africans agree with the policies of the UNIA. But the intentions and the Constitution of the Universal Negro Improvement Association states that its jurisdiction is anywhere African people reside. The Constitution also empowers, gives the power to establish subordinate divisions and other organizations. So the Constitution, again, we should understand that this is the central leadership, the nucleus of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. The High Executive Council pretty much is what the Constitution portion of the Constitution lays out and breaks down the roles and responsibilities of each of those offices. But as they roll up to the High Executive Council, they are the head body of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. And as such, they have the power to establish subordinate divisions, such as our division here, Division 421. But that's basically what that's saying. Based on the Constitution, UNIA, the parent body or leadership has the right to fix, regulate, and determine all matters that affect organizations and membership at large. So just documenting the authority of our leadership. Aims and objects are also listed early on in Article 1. we will stop and take a look at our aims and objects. Those are important for all members to know, especially new members. So, yeah, I'll read the updated 2005 amended aims and objects. Oh wait, that's jurisdiction. So, aims and objects. The objects of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League shall be to establish a universal confraternity among the race, to promote the spirit of pride and love, to reclaim the fallen, to administer to and assist the needy, to assist in the development of independent African nations and communities, to establish agencies in the principal cities and countries of the world for the representation and protection of all Africans, irrespective of nationality, to promote a conscientious spiritual worship among all Africans in the diaspora, to establish universities, colleges, academies, and schools for the racial education and culture of the people, to conduct a worldwide commercial and industrial intercourse for the good of the people, and to work for better conditions in all African communities. So, in the very beginning of the Constitution, right after we talk about jurisdiction, Section 3, we are discussing the aims and objects of the organization, which we all should know. After we talk about the aims and objects, it talks about the number of individuals required to establish a division. Does anybody here remember the number of individuals that is required to establish a division in the UNI?
Yes.
Dr. Kuda?
7.
7, yes. The magic number 7. With 7 individuals, or at least 7 individuals, no fewer than 7, come together and say they would like to establish a division. They get in contact with the parent body, and they follow the requirements, and they are able to officially have a chartered division of the UNIA-ACL with 7 Africans. So that's something that we should know as we're going out and promoting the growth of the organization, the establishment of new divisions. We should know that requirement. We need at least 7 Africans in a community to come together to establish a new division. Article 2 speaks to the laws. Speaks to the laws. And this is also where it breaks down the 3 components of the Constitution. But the Constitution states that the Universal Negro Improvement Association may enact and enforce laws for its government. So briefly, Article 2, laws, Universal Negro Improvement Association, African Communities League may enact and enforce laws for its government, and that for subordinate divisions, organizations, and societies and members through the jurisdiction. So as we established previously, UNIA parent body, High Executive Council has the ability to establish subordinate divisions and other organizations. Article 2 states that the UNIA may enact and enforce laws for its government, including those subordinate divisions, but establishing a bit of a chain of command. Article 2 also talks about, as I said, the 3 sections of the Constitution. First section is a Constitution, which deals with fundamental principles and policies of the organization, its jurisdiction, and that of local divisions and societies, and the list of offices and all matters pertaining to their duties. So, official breakdown of the High Executive Council, its jurisdiction, and the jurisdiction of local divisions, as well as the jurisdiction of the UNIA as a body. Second section, which we will begin tonight, is bylaws. Second section is bylaws. I thought it was general laws. Second section is general laws. This is out of order. General laws is all matters pertaining to the relations of members and local divisions and societies to each other. So general laws really deals with a breakdown of local divisions. So how we looked at high executive council and the parent body, high executive council and president general, secretary general. The general laws looks at your local male president, your local secretary, and the structure for local divisions. Bylaws is the order of procedure and convention. That is what we were. Let me go back to the Constitution because there's something is off there. Amendments, not amendments. This is Article 2. Article 2. So, according to Article 2, Universal Negro Improvement Association, African Communities League the laws of the UNIA shall be comprised within A, the Constitution, which shall contain the outlines, fundamental principles, policies of this organization, its jurisdiction, and that of local divisions and societies. Okay, so that's the High Executive Council as well as jurisdiction of local divisions. Bylaws, which shall contain the order of procedure and convention. Bylaws. And general laws which shall contain all matters pertaining to the relation of members and local divisions and societies to each other. The reason why I had to pause, let's see, I'll just show y'all. I gotta find out where the bylaws begins. But it said that the bylaws talks about the order of convention. Yeah. And in this general laws, not bylaws, it starts out with talking about conventions. So that's why I expected general laws to be related to convention more than bylaws. A second. Do a quick search. Up here. Section. Bylaws of local division. It's in section 13. It's not its own section. It will start with Article 1. All right. Not gonna spend too much time on that. That is something I'll look at further, but based on what the Constitution states, bylaws are the order of procedure and convention, specific duties of officers and committees, and standing rules. I feel like we read that. And then general laws are all matters pertaining to the relation of members and local divisions and societies to each other. We also talked about the constitutional amendments and resolutions review, how amendments and resolutions come about. Article 3, deputies of convention. We should understand the policy of one man, one vote. And so the big takeaway from Article 3 is one man, one vote. Votes will no longer be determined by delegates or deputies. So these are the votes that take place at High Executive Council and Convention. They will no longer, previously they were determined by delegates that were sent to convention or High Council. But it's saying based on 2014 amendment, votes will no longer be determined by delegates or deputies that are special deputies or delegates that are sent by the divisions. Each member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League present at convention who is in good standing and whose dues are current is entitled to one vote for elections and entitled to one vote for each motion brought to the convention floor, including votes for constitutional amendments. Basically, anyone that is present at convention in good standing has the right to vote. That is what one man, one vote empowers. Okay. All right. Article 4, the officials of the UNIA-ACL. We should know the officials. We should know the elected officials. Let me see if I got that in here. Yeah. We should know the officials, President General, First Assistant President General, Second, Third, Fourth Assistant President General, Secretary General, First, Second Assistant Secretary General, High Chancellor, Counsel General, Auditor General, Chaplain General, International Organizer, Minister of Education, other ministers and offices as may be deemed necessary, all of whom shall form the High Executive Council representing divisions throughout the world. So the officials are known as High Executive Council. Officials or High Executive Council is interchangeable. One of the things that we looked at earlier today in our executive meeting was the organizational chart. So until the upcoming election in August, this is our High Executive Council. President General Michael R. Duncan, First Assistant President General Raymond Duque, Second Assistant President General Brother Ogu Idakwoji, Third Assistant President General Brother Charles Butler, Fourth Assistant President General Kwahir Asar Khan, High Commissioner Marua Farrell, Council General Imhotep, High Chancellor Raymond Duguay, Secretary General Brenda Omoa Khan. So what we just read in the Constitution, as far as the structure, this is what it actually looks like today in reality. Minister of Education, Brother Oster, Minister of Information, Brother Winchester, Minister of Labor and Industries, Brother Clyde Banks. So this is the High Council or the high officers of the UNIA currently. All right. Which offices of the HEC are elected positions? So of those offices, which of them are elected, which will be re-elected this coming August? The only elected positions are the President General position. So President General will be elected. First Assistant President General is elected. Second Assistant President General is elected. Third Assistant President General is elected. Fourth Assistant President General is elected. All other, the yellow, the whites are appointed and most often appointed by President General. So only 5 offices are elected offices of the High Executive Council. Questions, comments so far?
I actually do have a question.
Yes.
Is there a process for reappointments within or outside of a appointment window? Does that make sense?
Is there?
Like you go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Say it again. I need you to say it.
All right. So like for an election, right? For elections, you say I want this person unelected, or I just don't want to vote for this person, or what have you. Is there a process for that? Not that that's a goal or anything, but like, is there one for that?
I don't understand what you mean. Hold on. Let me pull the chart back up, and if you can.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'm on the phone. I'm not looking at the chart, but here, let me rephrase it. Like, how do if you get appointed, are you just in office? Like, if I got appointed for something, am I just in there until someone unappoints me?
Yes. When you are appointed, appointments are done by President General. So he's the highest official. His appointments are constitutional. So there's no discussion about President General's appointment.
I see. So President General appoints me for something. It's just there until it's just, so maybe someone brings it brings my, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
I get you.
So that's the importance of our every 4-year elections. It sets the structure and the body for our leadership for the next 4 years, and it determines who are the individuals that are making those appointments.
Oh, my bad.
Sister Cecily just asked, can a female? Yes, we had just recently, 3rd Assistant President General was a sister, and our previous 4th Assistant President General was Sister Basima out of Philadelphia. Brother Eric.
Does he double down on his appointments? Like, if you appoint someone, is there a range of time where you just get reappointed again, or is it just until you get unappointed?
Once you're appointed, you keep the appointment until the President General wishes to appoint someone else, or unless there's a new President General and he wishes to appoint someone else.
Okay, so it's up to every new President General, they can either keep the same appointments or reappoint.
Yes.
I see.
Yes. Any other questions on High Council leadership? Good questions. These are important. This is the fundamental foundation, the nucleus, as I said. This is where it all starts, and everything builds from these offices. Constitution Article 4, the term of office of elected officials. Term of office of the elected officials is 4 years, providing their conduct conforms to the best interest. So long as there's nothing unconstitutional being done, each of the elected offices maintain for 4 years. Who appoints the other officers forming the HEC? All of the officers forming the High Executive Council shall be appointed by the President General and confirmed by the convention. The convention confirmations usually just a rubber stamp. No one, there hasn't been a situation where President General appoints someone and the convention says no. Just put that. Who confirms the appointments? Oh, that's the same thing. Failure to qualify. No, according to the Constitution, says no person elected to a high office of the Universal Negro Improvement Association shall hold office until his or her credentials, character, and qualifications have satisfied High Executive Council. So that's listed in the Constitution under section called failure to qualify, but basically you have to satisfy the requirements or qualifications of High Executive Council. It's nothing really much there. How can an individual who fails to qualify, so even if a person does fail to qualify, President General Administrator has the power to appoint a person to fill that position until the next session of convention. But just speaking to the authority of President General and his ability to appoint of officers of High Executive Council, and based on that's his constitutional authority. What are titles of individuals appointed to represent the UNIA in every country where Africans live? The answer to that is a High Commissioner or commissioners shall be appointed to represent the Universal Negro Improvement Association in every country where Africans live. So High Commissioner is not the international organizer, but it is fairly synonymous. But yeah, it's like the right hand of the President General in regards to organizing our commissioners. So we have districts here in the United States. Those districts are manned by individuals, and the leadership of the districts is manned by the High Commissioner. So who shall appoint commissioners? President General Administrator appoints the commissioners for each of the districts as well as the High Commissioner. Who shall appoint High Commissioner? Potentate, Supreme Commissioner, which potentate has an amended position that's been removed from the Constitution. So potentate used to be the highest office. Highest office is now President General. But the President General shall appoint commissioner on the recommendation of the President General and Administrator. Authority of the President General, who elects officers of local divisions. Local divisions and subordinate organizations shall elect our own officers, with the exception of the president. President shall be elected by a majority vote of his or her division and approved by the President General. So all offices of local divisions are determined by the local divisions, with the exception of the president. The president office has to be approved by the President General. Any questions so far?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
It's Beverly. So is divisions and districts the same? Because I've heard you say explain the divisions, but you just recently mentioned districts. So they're different, right?
Yes, they are different.
Okay. So how many divisions or districts per state? Or can there be more than one division in a state, I guess?
Yes, I'm trying to pull up a graphic of the districts. Give me 1 second. Divisions. CBPM had a good one. Districts.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's in here. Here we go. There are 12 districts in the United States, and that's primarily where the UNIA has functions today and has functioned historically. District 1 is Northeast. I don't know all of the states, but from Maine to New York is District 1. District 2 is New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania. District 3, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland. District 4, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky. We reside in District 5, which is South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. I'll skip over these districts and jump to District 6, which has, wait, where's Illinois? Which one is Illinois? This is Illinois. And this is Indiana. So Indiana, Michigan, Ohio is District 6. District 7, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, what is this? I don't know what this one is. Why? I don't know what that is. But we do have brothers in Illinois. We do have a few brothers in Wisconsin. We got a few brothers in Wisconsin, Kenosha. And we also have some brothers and sisters in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have brothers and sisters in Ohio, brothers and sisters in Detroit. But districts are a few states put together are a district. So you can have multiple divisions within a district.
Okay.
And your districts, so each district, this would make up 12 districts. This would be 12 district commissioners or district commissioners. And then you would have one high commissioner that all of these 12 district commissioners reports to the high commissioner. That's the section of the Constitution we were speaking about.
Okay, got it. And then the individual kind of divisions, they have their own officers, if you will.
Yes.
President, so forth. Okay.
We're supposed
All right.
we're supposed to go through that more in detail today, actually. That's one of the first sections in general laws, but I wanted to do a recap of the previous section before we did that. Yes, Sister Cecily, I am district commissioner. I am commissioner of District 5, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. So any divisions which we need to be creating would be under our district.
If I may ask, so that means that in District 5 or in Atlanta, Georgia, you can have other small divisions coming up of Division 421, coming out of. In the same Atlanta, can you have more divisions?
Yes, you can have more divisions in Atlanta, but this is more so speaking to more divisions in the state of Georgia, more divisions in the state of South Carolina, more divisions in the state of Florida, not necessarily in the same city, but just in those states.
Okay, so
yeah,
I would look at that like being the north side or the east side or the west side of the state, like that. Right? Because like I'm in northeast Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
and someone else may be southwest of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So those could be two different divisions.
They could, yes,
Okay.
but they would still be in the same district, is what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Understood.
The district covers the entire state.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
No problem. Good questions. There aren't any more questions. We will proceed. We're talking about elections. Does the district commissioner have to be president of a division? No, they do not. It's actually it's actually a sign of the lack of staff. Those should be two independent positions, and that is a goal that I have for us locally. Is for someone else to take the role of president. That way I can focus 100% on commissioner. But that's in the past, those were two separate individuals. Good question. Okay. Article 5 of Constitution. What is the term of office as President General and the parent body? As we just talked about, term of office is 4 years. So the Constitution states that clearly. So we'll have an election 2024, and those officers that are elected will serve until 2028, given that they have good conduct. When was the office of the potentate and supreme commissioner eradicated? Those offices were officially eradicated in 2005. What are the grounds for removal of the President General? President General should at any time act contrary to the good and welfare of the UNIA-ACL in refusing or neglecting to abide by or carry out the commands of the association and league through its constitution and through the order of the convention shall on proper evidence of the fact be impeached by the executive council through the office of the council general. So basically gives us a little bit of a protection, although the president general is the highest officer, almost unlimited authority. We all have to abide by the Constitution, and if president general, the only way to the president general should be removed is not abiding by the Constitution or carrying out the aims and objects of the UNIA as listed in the Constitution. Article 5, offices. What offices are responsible to impeach? So if there was an issue with the president general, counsel general is responsible to handle that prosecution. What are the qualifications to be a defendant counsel in the UNIA? So this is not just the president general, but if anyone is brought to trial, there are qualifications to be a defendant, and that qualification is that must be an active member of the UNIA-ACL. So if there is a dispute and we decide to convene a council to address that dispute, non-active UNIA members cannot be defendants. They can't come and as defendants. They have to be active members, basically. What is the cause to be guilty of high crimes in the UNIA? Should the president or any other elected parent body or officer take or receive money or gifts from any person by way of bribes or rewards for neglecting or selling out the interests of the UNIA-ACL, he shall be guilty of high crime. So the Constitution states what high crimes are: treason, bribes, taken against the organization. But just to prevent that type of behavior or thought process. Punishment of officials found guilty of a similar offense. They shall forthwith be disgraced and dismissed from high office that they held. So you can't hold high office if you are guilty of a high crime. Let's see. What happens to gifts received by officers of the UNIA? We just talked about bribes. So the alternative, all money and gifts shall be turned over to the property of the UNIA-ACL. So any gifts received by leadership or anyone in authority, those gifts should be handed over directly to the UNIA to prevent any conflict of interest. Who was required to approve the original Constitution? According to Section 10 of the original Constitution, all officers, officials, and active members of the UNIA were required to approve the original Constitution. When was the Black Star Line Navigation and Trading Company established? So Constitution also speaks on the Black Star Line Navigation and Trading Company. It was established at the Third International Convention, which took place August 1922, and it was for the purpose of carrying out the steamship program. So Black Star Line is a constitutional endeavor of the UNIA-ACL, and it's still in our Constitution. The incorporators of the Black Star Line Navigation and Trading Company were the Executive Council. So based on the Constitution, there was a direct relationship between the ownership of the Black Star Line and the Executive Council of the UNIA-ACL, whoever those individuals may be. What was the purpose of the Black Star Redemption Corporation? So Constitution has a section where we were trying to redeem stocks and notes of the Black Star Line Incorporated, and that is documented as part of the Constitution. When was the role of Supreme Deputy eradicated? That's 2005. What are responsibilities of the President General? So now we're getting into some of the responsibilities of the high officers, starting with the highest official, President General. And responsibilities include the working head, held responsible to the parent body for the entire working and carrying out of all commands, attends conventions and instructs minor officers on their duties and sees that such duties are properly performed. He has veto power on any financial matter initiated by any individual or by the executive council that may tend to jeopardize it's like the well-being of the organization. So he has a veto power in regards to financial matters. Working head responsible to the parent body for the entire working and carrying out of all commands. Parent body. Who is the parent body? What is the parent body? Anybody know what that is? It's an important, seems to be important if the President General is held responsible to the parent body. Sister Cecily, you say you know what it is? You know what our parent body is? Typing away. HEC plus presidents of every division, right? Yes, absolutely. So as we just talked about the structure of the HEC, I feel like we just talked about this recently. As we talk about the structure of the HEC, you got your elected individuals, your 5 elected individuals, and then you have your appointed individuals that make up the HEC. The parent body includes all of these individuals as the HEC, plus all of the elected division presidents. So myself, Our Lady President, will be a part of the parent body. Baltimore, I don't know if vice presidents would, I don't know if they got into a level of vice presidents, but that's something we'll clarify. But each division has a male and a lady president and a female president. So we are included into what is considered the parent body of the UNIA-ACL. And those are the two, you'll see the Constitution kind of goes back and forth on who is the who is the highest body or the body of authority, whether it be the HEC or the parent body. As you can see here, the President General is responsible to the parent body. Previously, we talked about the authority of the High Executive Council, but based on different situations or different responsibilities, they'll roll up to either the HEC or the parent body, which includes the HEC and the division presidents. So the President General is responsible to parent body, which is the High Executive Council and division presidents for the working and carrying out of all commands of the UNIA. But yeah, any questions, comments on President General? Beyond President General, and we're almost at the 4 o'clock hour, so I'm getting ready to shift over to. I'll quickly shift over to general laws, but this only going to be a 2 hour, 1 more hour discussion maximum. Responsibilities of the first assistant president general. Per the Constitution, it shall assist the president general in the performance of such duties of his office as shall be assigned to him. So basically, whatever the president general assigns to the first assistant president general, that is his responsibility. Outside of that, the first assistant president general is the first in line if the president general is unable to perform his duties. So that is explicitly what the Constitution states in regards to first assistant president general. What are responsibilities of the secretary general and high commissioner? Assist the secretary general and second assistant secretary general. That don't seem like that was completed. Yeah, that's not the end. So responsibility of the Secretary General is to keep the reports of all of our major communication, specifically our convention and high council, keeping the minutes of those gatherings. I would argue I mean, it's several meeting minutes that Secretary General is responsible for, but that's her general responsibility is to keep records and to be able to pull any records if anyone has any questions. Responsibility of the High Chancellor. High Chancellor is the financial high office, kind of like the treasurer. He's the highest treasurer. He's responsible for the maintenance of the funds, maintenance of our UNIA-ACL bank account, and any transaction of funds that takes place is the responsibility of our High Chancellor. Quiz questions. Do we know who our first assistant, or do we know who our president? I guess I just read it, but who is our president general? What's his name?
President General Duguay.
President General who?
Duguay, Michael Duguay. Mike, right?
No.
Michael Duncan.
Yes, Michael Duncan is our president general. First assistant president general, what is his name?
Raymond Duguay.
Raymond Duguay. Yeah, you mixed the two names. Raymond Duguay. Secretary General, and not Brother Art, because I know you know it, Brother Art. Who's our Secretary General? What is their name?
Brenda.
Sister Brenda Amoa Khan is our Secretary General. High Chancellor. This is where we get, this is tough. Anybody? High Chancellor? Anybody know who our High Chancellor is?
There's that's one that holds too. Is that also
Brother Marua.
Brother Marua? No. High Chancellor of UNIA-ACL.
Duguay.
Duguay, yes. Great.
wow.
Yes. The money, that's where the money is. The money man, Raymond Duguay. Who's our Council General?
Brother Imhotep.
Yes, thank you, Brother Art, for saving us. Our very own Division 421 Legal Defense Committee Coordinator, Attorney Imhotep Akibalan, serves as the Council General of the UNIA-ACL. Responsibilities of the Council General. Brother Art, do you remember the responsibility of Council General?
He handles the anything legal that the division might come under.
Yes, well, yes, absolutely, except for the word division. He handles legal, anything
Okay.
that the organization as a whole. So
that's what I was thinking. I couldn't get there.
he's the head legal official. When we think about Supreme Court or Chief Justice, he would be not only the Chief Justice, but he is the Supreme Court. So that's our Council General. I would like to think of him as the head interpreter of our Constitution as well. Okay. Responsibility of our Auditor General. Anybody know who our Auditor General is? That's a trick question. We don't have an Auditor General. That's an open office. But that is an office that we need to have filled, and we should also be pushing our leadership to have that position filled for its importance. Auditor General is responsible to basically audit the accounts. He's the kind of the one that, just like the Council General keeps the President General in line, the Auditor General keeps the High Chancellor in line. And currently we don't have a Auditor General, so the High Chancellor is self-auditing. But, you know, he does provide records on a regular basis. But we still, I feel we need an Auditor General. It's in the Constitution. Either we fill the position or we take it out the Constitution. That's my position. Responsibility of Chaplain General. Chaplain General is our head spiritual officer. So in regards to funerals, births, christenings, baptisms, whatever it may be, some words of encouragement or comfort. Chaplain General, it would be the head officer of that, of those, of those. Okay, how much more do? All right, let me run through these last three. Responsibilities of the international organizer. So as I said, the High Commissioner, international organizer are somewhat synonymous. I would say High Commissioner would be like your domestic international organizer, and then your international organizer is the diaspora. So all the divisions in the diaspora on the continent would roll under the realm of international organizer, establishing divisions, maintaining relations outside of the United States, all rolls under the realm of international organizer. In the course of African philosophy, Mr. Garvey teaches us that we have to, we should focus within our jurisdiction, and anything outside of our jurisdiction, specifically anything international, should be handled by our international organizer. So issues on the continent, we love to support, we love to discuss it, we love to talk about it, but that is we should be bringing those issues to our international organizer and not trying to solve them ourselves as a local division. So that's the international organizer. Responsibility of the Surgeon General. That's basically our health, our lead health officer. Health, exercise, health, longevity of life, infant mortality, mother mortality, in the birthing process, all that stuff rolls up. Diet, I would even think, rolls up to Surgeon General Health, but that is an open office as well that we need to get filled. Minister of Labor and Industries, responsible for, making sure that we are qualified to build, to produce, and to create industry.
Excuse me, President John. I
Yeah.
saw you send an email from the Minister of Labor and Industries, Brother Clyde Banks.
Really? Recently? Was it related to labor and industry?
The email was related to, I just saw the title, Minister of Labor and Industry. But the email was sharing about the registration of the UNIA that was done in 1918.
Oh, yes.
So he shared some documents to that.
Yes. Yes, correct. I think that came from our August 1st celebration. We were talking about the history and the establishment of some of the businesses of the UNIA, and that would roll under Minister of Labor and Industries. So the African Communities League is I guess, the Minister of Labor and Industries would probably be considered a leader of the African Communities League. And the Minister of Labor, in this email, he said, this was a while ago, as you know, it is of great importance to promptly follow through on items discussed as promised. The UNIA and ACL have historically started or helped to grow existing businesses. Attached for your review and consideration for discussion are 3 items. The African Communities League Origination Certificate of Incorporation. Note the scope of intended operations and our ancestors' envision for the UNIA. So talks about some of the industries that we were excited to pursue. A book on Black cooperative economics, a proposal to start a logistics brokerage firm, prepared and submitted to HEC by Bruce Staten. The history of the relationship between the Minister of Labor and Industry and the official creation and certification of industry. So that when we talk about working, when we talk about building, when we talk about resources or refining resources or manufacturing processes, those would be endeavors of our Minister of Labor and Industries. So the workforce, pretty much economic backbone, I would think, for the UNIA. And that is, anyone know who holds that office? Dr. Kuda, did you see the name of the brother that holds the office?
Yes, it's Brother Clyde Banks.
For the Clyde Banks, president of Division 429 in Chicago. Okay. Let me finish these last few. Minister of Legion was eradicated in 2005, but we still discuss that. It's actually funny. We've had more Legion meetings this year than I've seen in a very long time. But Legion, Universal African Legion, is quote unquote our defense, our uniform, not necessarily military. I would more say paramilitary. As I've learned, the way I like to describe the African Legion, it's a force that was able to either build down a city or tear down a city or build up a city. So not just a destructive force, but a constructive force. Construction individuals could, work with cement, could do plumbing, could do electrical, but basically could build a community as well as tear down a community if needed. But that's our Legion. Legion and Minister of Labor seems to kind of go hand in hand when you really look at the purpose of the Legion. No problem, Dr. Kuda. But that's what I'll say about the Legion. It's our arm of brothers from the ages of 15 to 55 that are organized for the purpose of either destroying if needed or building if needed. Responsibility of Minister of Education. Anybody know who our Minister of Education is? Not you, Brother Art. I know you know. Anyone else know who our Minister of Education is? Saturday orientations.
Is that Oscar?
Oster Bryant. Yes, sir. Oster Bryant is our Minister of Education. Head Education Officer. Very clear, very straightforward. Nothing, fancy. Just straight education. So a lot of our education endeavors that come from leadership come from our Minister of Education. And right now the primary program is our orientation. Speaking of orientation, as I said earlier, exam for orientation starts tonight, and then there'll be another exam next week, and then they'll follow up with another session. I'm sure very, very soon. All right. Requirements of high officials. Requirements and what are the qualifications of high and divisional office? All offices and high offices of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Community League shall be Negroes, and their consorts or wives shall be Negroes. So leadership, especially this level of leadership, is just speaking that your partner must also be Negro or African. You can't be a African with a Caucasian or other race partner and be a leader in the UNIA, and that's specific. That's per the Constitution. In regards to qualifications for high and divisional officers, qualifications of candidates for high office of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, and candidates for divisional office shall be as follows. So these are the requirements. You must be a registered active with all dues paid up, shall be African, shall be proven to be conscientious to the cause of the racial uplift, shall not be married to anyone of alien race, shall be free from criminal conviction, shall be of reputable moral standing and good education. Candidates for high executive office to UNIA-ACL shall also have a minimum of 2 years good service at the divisional level. So if you're seeking qualification at high office, you must meet these requirements. Let me see something. Hmm. Interesting. I'm gonna give y'all a little something to think about. I didn't plan on talking about this, but it just caught my attention. But when we talk about the splits in the UNIA and the fractures within the UNIA, really it's not all the way self-inflicted, but partially self-inflicted. And it all starts here in the qualifications, partially in my opinion. Some others may have different opinions, but this is my understanding.
Could you please put up that slide,
Oh, I'm
Brother
not sure.
John? Slide 35.
Oh, slide 35. Well, this is what I was reading from. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So shall be proven to be conscientious, reputable moral standing. So these are the qualifications. But as far as the splits that took place in my research, it all started with the qualifications. And when we look at the original, even the original qualifications prior to the amendments, one of the things that states qualification for high in divisional office, one of the qualifications is that shall be free from criminal conviction, which sounds very good, but we all must understand, once Marcus Garvey lost his trial to the United States, he was effectively a convicted criminal. And, some individuals felt that based on based on that attachment, he should no longer serve in high office. So that's part of where some of our first disagreements came in was based upon this requirement that in order to serve in high office, you must be free from criminal conviction. Anybody questions anything on that before we continue?
Wow. And his criminal conviction was just an issue of mail?
Yes. Yes.
Which I think was not, I think it was set up,
Yeah.
quite frankly, but yeah.
Yes, and that's where you get a split, because some people are looking for anything
Right.
to get certain individuals out of the way and put themselves into that position. So
Agreed.
it's a gotcha moment,
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I was going to ask a similar thing because I thought, knowing how false his conviction was and how it was a setup, it seems kind of, insincere or ridiculous or whatever for anybody to want to call him convicted. I mean, technically he is, but
yes,
to try to call him some sort of convicted criminal behind that setup, that doesn't make no sense. That would have to be somebody themselves, I think, who would use that to be, they would be just as bad as the folks who convicted him to want to turn around and make that a legitimate conviction, knowing how false that really was.
but when you look at the Marcus Garvey UNIA papers, you'll see even Mr. Garvey spoke to this and how individuals were trying to use his claim, the claim of his conviction, to say that he was not qualified to serve as President General. All right, if there's not anything else, we'll finish up on the Constitution. So that's requirements of high officials, requirements of high and divisional officers, requirements of the VACA program. This thing. I'm gonna say review that at your leisure. I don't. It's not in the digital version, so it's a little bit harder for me to review it, but it is in our constitutions. I'm trying to find out what page. It's Article 6. Article 6 starts on page 25 of the large constitution. VACA program is designed to create basic standards for members to ensure members are selected for positions of authority who have basic talents, abilities, gifts, and skills to lead the organization that is academically sound and measurable based on a system of Garveyism. Garveyism is defined as completing a course of study to include reading and studying the following material under guidance of the Minister of Education, UNIA-ACL orientation course, Constitution, which we are reading now, books selected from Marcus Garvey Library, and Course of African Philosophy, which Division 421 will begin in the month of September. Candidates for high office must meet the UNI-ACL basic requirements for nominees, high post positions. But these are additional requirements of the VACA program for high offices, specifically orientation. Orientation class is the only thing right now. There's supposed to be a requirement for Course of African Philosophy once that is developed by our leadership. But as of right now, the only requirement of the VACA program in relation to qualification for high office is completion of the orientation. Okay, salaries of high officers, high officials was eradicated in 2005. We talked about this honestly in August 1st, 2 days ago. We mentioned we went through the salaried officers of the 1920 convention, but that policy was officially eradicated in 1920. Who determines the salaries of local divisions as per the Constitution? Local division officers, or local division determines the salaries of its officers based upon the funds that they have available.
Excuse me, President John, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Number one, does it imply that if you're a high official, you don't get a salary?
Currently, yes.
Why? Why not?
Good question.
That's what why would you not get a salary if you're working hard?
I think, in my opinion, in my knowledge, and again, this was eradicated 2005, long before any of us, many of us were involved in the UNIA. In a time when the organization was not very profitable, and there weren't any salaries being given, I assume that the leadership thought it best to simply remove that from the Constitution rather than become profitable and pay its officers.
Oh, wow. And I'm looking for getting a position at that level so I can have a salary. So that means we shouldn't even bother going there then.
We need to leadership needs to understand the importance of that concept. Some of our leadership, I don't know what the mindset is of leadership, other than the fact that, as we've talked about here, our roles in service should be charitable. That's the only thing I can think. But it states here, all officials, all officials and high officers of the UNI-ACL African Communities League, other than potentate and supreme commissioner, deputy, shall be granted salaries commensurate with the work they perform, which shall be voted by the convention. So there was a salary that would be agreed upon every year by the convention. All officials of the Universal Negro Improvement Association shall be paid their salaries at minimum, which shall be half the maximum. These numbers come from the 1920 convention. But at least it had some numbers. It had some numbers that we were held to.
So
But
already, I'm sorry. Already in 1920, we were experiencing hardship. So
no,
way back.
no. In 1920, we were great, and that's where the salaries were initially established in 1920.
Okay. Okay. And when did they come up with the amendment of salaries for high executive council?
To remove them,
What year? 2005. To
2000,
remove them, yes.
yes, 2005.
Okay. I think that decision, like the reason why if things are improved, I think maybe they need to relook into that. Let's say, there's funding coming into the organization, millions. Do you still want to be at that level and not have a salary?
Well, excellent point, Dr. Kuda. From a political standpoint, from an organization standpoint, from a constitutional standpoint, my recommendation would be for us to propose to have this amendment restored.
Yes, I agree with you, Praise. I fully agree with you there. Or else some of us who wanted to apply for positions there, we won't go. We'll just hang around at our division level.
So that's the best process. We have to, and it's unfortunate, but we have to convince our leadership to reinstate salaries for high officials.
Yes, I think that's a fair point to raise. Thank you, President John.
No problem. Great question.
President John,
Yes,
but
brother.
even though there aren't salaries, are expenses still paid for high executive officers? Like if they go to any kind of traveling or have to do anything on behalf of the organization?
Currently, the only officer of the high executive office that gets any assistance is our Secretary General. I believe she has a stipend of either 1,500 or 3,000. I think it's $1,500 a year for her travel and lodging expenses. That's in the Constitution as well. That was a 2020 amendment.
Oh, thank you, President John, for responding to that question. Even that 1,500, in comparison to UN employees, the way they travel and get their subsistence allowance per diem. I worked for the UN for 8 years, and there's no way you're going to survive on a 1,500 travel allowance. So, in a way, we are struggling. It shows clearly, and something needs to be done about finances, because for a Secretary General to have a budget of 1,500 for travel, it's unheard of. For such a big organization like this, it's not fair, I think.
We can do better. I'll say that. I agree.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for your correction. Better words to use. We can do better. Thank you, President John. We can do better.
However, so again, there's levels. Where does it come from? Dues? Yes. Yeah, we don't have enough money. Yes, that's the answer. That's the problem. We don't bring in enough membership dues to justify payments to our leadership. So we have to. So it's a catch-22. We got to bring in more people to be able to pay our leadership. And our leadership, some leadership need more money to do the work, but we got to bring in more members at the end of the
Sorry to derail you, Press. It's like a catch-22 situation. If we are to bring in more members, we also need to have something to offer the members. It's a two-way.
Yes.
I think at the time of our leader Marcus Garvey, in his time, there were not so many other things occupying people's minds. People just needed something. They just needed to know that we have a sense of belonging, and this is where we belong, to the UNIA-ACL. And it was easy for people to sign up and him to have all those millions of members.
Hmm.
And it's clear, how things have gone wrong here by him being accused of a crime that he didn't commit, that was framed as a crime to him. And we lost all our members in that way. I'm sure that contributed to some of the members leaving.
Yes.
And now to try to bring these people back. And some of the things, like I remember speaking to one lady who I worked with in the UN, who's been there for many years. She was in Swaziland, and she was telling me, oh, she's from Philadelphia, and she was at the university, she schooled at the University of Philadelphia. And she was telling me that because Gavi left a lot of assets behind. She was saying things like that. So all that, what happened to all those millions and so forth, So we don't know. I don't have an idea. I don't have a clue. Maybe some research we still need to do and see how those were dissolved, how it, disappeared. Was it confiscated by government? What happened to all the
Akuda.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Just quickly, since we're talking about this part, but I agree with everything you all said. How is the organization set up corporately? Is it a nonprofit?
No, we are not set up as a nonprofit. And Dr. Kuda, I see that you're back. 1 second, but no, we are not set up as a nonprofit. Honestly, to my knowledge, the leadership currently is unincorporated.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that, I need to verify these things, obviously, but that's just my understanding. The reason why I say that is when I read some of the information in regards to the original split of the UNIA, part of the issue was the fact that the organization was originally incorporated. There was a UNIA-ACL incorporated in 1918, but when Mr. Garvey was convicted and exiled, he effectively lost legal authority to that body. And that's when, new leadership comes to power under that name. And they have that legal right, in the United States based on the incorporation laws. So Mr. Garvey, and this is what we are under when we look at our Constitution. So we're on page 29. Please keep that in mind for me. But when you look at our Constitution, what Mr. Garvey did in August of 1929, he reestablished the Universal Negro Improvement Association. So, and he reestablished it in Jamaica, but in Jamaica, they didn't have any incorporation laws. So the organization, Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, August 1929 of the world, to my knowledge, is not incorporated. That was founded in Jamaica.
Okay, so I hear you say that he reestablished under the original way, I assume, that he had incorporated. So I'm thinking, you can let me know if I'm incorrect, that the company was never dissolved in the US, just reestablished under new leadership.
Correct. That's my understanding.
So also, was the name changed under that new? You're saying the name was changed, right?
No,
think
the
I'm
name
answering my own.
wasn't changed. The name was not changed.
Oh, okay. The name was not changed. Okay. I heard it wrong, but it was not dissolved, right? Just new leadership.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, we are officially unincorporated to my knowledge. And we have talked about nonprofit status. And I know the parent body, high executive council is against the idea of nonprofit status for the parent body or high executive council. It is allowed for local divisions, but it is not something that the leadership is pursuing.
Okay, so with nonprofit, just because I work in the financial space, there's a lot of different numbers and letters for nonprofits. So I would just have the um the leaders in those areas of finance and law to look at the different levels and numbers of nonprofit. I really don't like nonprofits because they're so strictly reviewed by government and IRS. But if they just want to do it, then there are different types of nonprofits that might be beneficial rather than the regular 501c3, if you will. So they should, review those levels. But I'm not a fan of nonprofit. But that's just me and some of my knowledge about it. But they should review it, the levels.
Understand. Well, the approach that we must take, and I'm glad that this is where we are in the Constitution, is local. We must focus local. The ability for us to provide salaries local has not been amended or eradicated. The ability for us to develop nonprofits locally is constitutionally acceptable. So if this is something that we want to do, something that we think is beneficial for the leadership, one of the things that I've been taught in the past is we should be able to set the example on a local level and then bring the results to leadership. Say, hey, we've established a 501, we've established a nonprofit, over 6 months. This is the amount of work that we've been able to do over, this is our projected payments that we will be able to provide for our offices. We think this is something that will be beneficial for all divisions and the leadership. But that would be the approach that I would recommend.
Okay, that's understood. Because really, at this point, if people are even willing to donate money, for events and stuff, they can't get a write-off for it.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But as a nonprofit, would we still be able to be exclusively Black?
True.
I mean, when we have to be willing to integrate and accept outside money as well?
Those are questions that I don't know the answers to, and that's why I've kind of avoided pursuing it, because I'm unsure of what comes with receiving the funds. However, one thing that I will say is it has never been an intention of mine to have Division 421 as a whole as a nonprofit. That's not what I meant to articulate. What I was saying is we could have a nonprofit arm underneath the 421 banner. So not 421 becoming a nonprofit, but under the Division 421 leadership, there is a officer that has, or a group of officers that has a nonprofit that 421 can utilize. Okay, 435. We gotta get moving. We talked about money. High Chancellor, anything related to money, we should think High Chancellor. Who determines the salaries of local divisions? Local divisions have that right. What businesses can UNIA invest money into? It's basically, in order for the UNIA to invest money, it has to get the approval of the parent body. Our division is allowed to sell outside stock. We're not allowed to sell outside stock or any stock discussions that for a individual benefit. And we're not going to worry about departmental assistance. All right. Second section of the Constitution, from what I've seen, is titled General Laws. We're preparing for convention coming up in a couple weeks. First question that I got for the body, what does anyone know what conventions are? What are the UNIA-ACL conventions? These meetings that we have every year in the month of August, in the month of the birth of Mr. Garvey. What are we doing? What are we doing at these meetings that we call conventions? Does anyone know? Anyone have any idea as to what conventions would be?
For the vote of the
Vote.
for the officials.
I
Vote.
may answer.
Dr. Kuda, yes.
Yes, these conventions are crucial for governance and decision-making processes within the UNIA.
Yes. Okay, let me see. Okay. So based on the Constitution, I don't want to share that. Yeah, I want to share this.
In the decision-making process, there's also review and reports at convention, which provide an opportunity for reviewing the work and progress of the organization, its divisions.
Yes.
And there's elections and appointments during conventions. Elections for various positions within the organizations are held and appointments are confirmed. However, the key elements of the conventions are in Article 3 of Deputies and Convention, which Section 1 talks about representation, Section 2, terms of deputies, and so forth.
Yes. Very, very thorough answer, Dr. Kuda, and you are correct. The thing is, it takes a level of experience and time to really be able to answer that question. Was part of where I was going. When you look in the Constitution, when it talks about conventions, it doesn't jump out and explain what the convention is for or what it's about. It's very technical as far as like the time and the officials of the convention. But it states, we'll read the amended version. Convention of the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League shall assemble at 10 a.m. on the first day of convention at the headquarters or other designated location. So that's what time and location. Convention shall have a morning session. So it'll have a session, we'll have lunch, afternoon session. So you got 2 sessions. By 6 p.m., all convention activities are ended except designated committee meetings. So by 6 p.m., all convention activities are ended, but what are we doing? Well, what are they doing at the meetings? Mass meetings arranged by the host division begin at 7 and end at 10. So this is mass meetings as part of convention, but it's not telling you what we're doing at the convention meetings. There may be from 2 to 4 mass meetings during the week. So this is the week of convention, depending on the resources of the host division. All official delegates are expected to attend these mass meetings that are scheduled to introduce the local community to the program of the UNIA-ACL. Annual convention will be held the last Tuesday on the month in August through the following Sunday, unless otherwise designated. So it talks about when it'll be held, the times. It talks about mass meetings being a part of convention, but it doesn't really tell you what is going on at convention. President General shall be responsible to the convention. He shall attend convention and instruct officers under his leadership of their duties and see that such duties are properly performed. He shall be empowered to exercise a veto power on any financial matter initiated by any individual member of the executive council that may tend to jeopardize or ruin the finances of the organization. Such veto power shall only be used by the administrator in the financial matter, and from where his best judgment is convinced that it is not for the best interest of the organization to permit the carrying out of such financial measures, an appeal may be made to the convention against the veto of the administrator or any measure, and shall be held responsible to the convention for the exercise of his judgment on the matter. So says a whole lot, but it doesn't give you the details as Dr. Kuda had just said. I'll look at another document that talks about the High Executive Council as well, and that is our brochure, which everyone should have a copy of the brochure. But in the brochure, there's a question. What is the governing body of the UNIA-ACL? And the answer to that question, the governing body is the International Convention, which meets annually unless otherwise provided for. So this convention, this annual convention, this August gathering is the governing body of the UNIA-ACL. We got something in age. Okay. So the convention is the governing body of the UNIA-ACL. As Sister Dr. Kuda said, the elections take place. We discuss amendments, resolutions, all of those. What else was confirmed at convention? Elections are confirmed at convention, but yeah, elections, amendments, resolutions are all made official at convention. So that is the importance of convention. High Executive Council, which takes place in April, is a preparation for convention. So we'll vote on something and say, you know, hey, I think all presidents should, you know, I think all division secretaries should be given a salary of should be given a stipend of $50 a month. That would, in order to make that an amendment per our UNIA-ACL political process, first it would have to be approved at High Executive Council. So High Executive Council in April, we would bring that proposal, that amendment, and say, hey, I think all recording secretaries should be given a stipend of $10 a month. It's approved at High Executive Council. That just means that it's on the agenda for convention. But if it's not approved at convention, it won't make it. It can still be killed, and it'll have to be brought up later on. But if it is approved at convention, then it becomes official, written into law. I hope that process makes sense. But that's the importance of convention. It's the final chance for us to vet any proposed policy changes. Questions, comments on convention, as well as election of high officers. Okay. What I said as far as the answer to what are the conventions, a convening of the parent body and the delegates of the UNIA-ACL. So a convening of the leadership as well as the representatives of all of the divisions to officially, as a body, come to conclusions and decisions related to our great government. Next question, what are the blue books? Anybody know what are our blue books in the UNIA? Blue books, official blue book containing the records of convention, published yearly for the benefit of officers and members. Yes. Basically a summary of the minutes. Summary of the minutes of convention produced by the Secretary General, available to the divisions. So we should be, when we attend these conventions, we should be asking for these documents. You know, where are the blue books? Where are the records? What are the minutes of the previous convention? What are the minutes of the previous council? We should all have those records.
Excuse me, President John, did we get blue books for Philadelphia's convention?
No, we didn't.
Thank you. So we supposed to follow up and ask the Secretary General?
Yes, I have asked the Secretary General a few times, but no one else has known or has thought to ask Secretary General, so I'm the only one that's asked.
Only as Division 421?
Yep, and that's why we look like, you know, they look at us like we're being difficult or, you know, but
And yet we're just following protocol,
exactly. But
like you teach us.
the fact that the other divisions don't do it, it makes it look like, you know, we're asking for something extra. It's like who, you know, don't nobody else ask for that. Why y'all asking for that? But
We need the President, please continue asking for it. We need it.
definitely.
Thank you.
Yes. As a matter of fact, yeah, y'all, you know, everybody was new at High Executive Council, but that was one thing that Secretary General owed us from High Executive Council. We didn't even get the minutes from 2023 High Executive Council. That came up during the agenda for High Executive Council in Philadelphia, and Secretary General said that she would come back and provide that later, but she never did. So I've been asking her for both 2023 and 2024 the minutes from those sessions. Who has?
And are those meetings recorded?
No, they are not.
Okay.
They're not recorded like this. They are, you know, they're written. It's written records.
And
Okay, I
there
got
was
you.
a,
But I was
there,
just wondering if it was transcribed from a recording. That's
there
all.
is a recording. President John, remember there was the gentleman who was doing the video recording?
Yeah, you're right.
And we were limited, we were not allowed to record
Yeah, you're
because
right.
he is the sole assigned person to do it.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So yes, Sister Reveille, you may be correct. They may be transcribing from the video. However, in the past, what has happened is the recording secretary usually takes notes during the session.
Yes, I
And
got it.
when
Yeah.
the session is over, the notes are made available. But as of recently, it seems as though we've relied upon the recording, and then later on we transcribe the recording and then provide the
Yeah. I get it. It's like a stockholders meeting, which is what I did. So I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Tim, we got 10 minutes, or maybe 5 minutes. Who has the privilege of convention floor? Who has the privilege to speak on convention floor? Does anybody know that?
Only paid up due members.
Paid
Members.
members. Paid. I think you are right. Yeah. In the Constitution, it says officials, officers, and delegates, but in reality, what that translates to is any active members in attendance. So long as you're in good standing, your dues are paid up, based on the Constitution, you have the privilege to speak on the floor of convention. So if anyone tries to silence you or say that you don't have the right to speak, no. Based on the Constitution, we are active, we are dues paying members. We have the right to speak at convention floor. We are in attendance. We have the right to speak, and make sure that's understood. Okay, Dr. Kuda. Who can be admitted to convention? That would be the same thing. Members of the UNIA, unless they were given a pass from High Council. So in the Constitution, it does say that the High Council has the authority to give an individual a pass if they are not an active member. And that's basically what that is kind of relaying to. In my experience, all members that have attended have been members. But it does, one thing I question in regards to this is the definition of member of the UNIA. So, and I want to challenge the council general on the wording. No person shall be admitted to the convention, but a member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, except on recommendation from a high official of the Association of the League. Visitors receiving a pass from the sergeant at arms, but no one shall be admitted except on a pass to be produced at entrance. When this says member, and the fact that it doesn't say active member, leads me to believe that any African has the right to be admitted to convention. Does anyone else see that differently? And I understand the active is probably implied, and that's probably what they'll say. Yeah, I mean, of course it's implied active, but it don't say active. And our ancestors could have easily typed in active or wrote active, but we didn't. And we should know that based on the Constitution, there's two types of members. You got active and ordinary. So an ordinary member, in my understanding, is still a member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. But that's a whole nother thing. But admittance to the convention, a member of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Okay. All right. What is the obligation to delegates to convention? Obligation of delegates to convention is to be present and on time for each session, to attend to business discussed, to speak to issues brought to the floor, and delegates to convention must address the chair as quote unquote Mr. Speaker in convention. So for those that are attending convention, be present on time for each session, attend to the business discussed, speak to the issues brought to the floor on behalf of your division, and address the speaker as Mr. Speaker in convention. And I think I skipped over Article 2. We'll talk about that later. Article 3, we got a couple minutes. What is the jurisdiction of divisions and subordinate societies of the UNIA? Section 1 of Article 3. So we're talking about the jurisdiction of local divisions here. Jurisdiction of local divisions include the corporate limits of the state, city, province, or township named in your charter. So the jurisdiction of Atlanta is City of Atlanta. However, given that there aren't any divisions in our region, technically our jurisdiction expands out to the next nearby division. So if someone in Savannah wanted to join the UNIA, Division 421 would be responsible. If someone in Miami wanted to join the UNIA, since there aren't any divisions in Florida, Division 421 would take leadership. So,
sorry, President John, I was kicked out a bit there. Could you please repeat that, because it's very important for me
the jurisdiction
to understand.
the
Yeah.
jurisdiction of the divisions based on the Constitution is confined to the city, province, or township named in your charter. So technically, for Atlanta Division 421, our jurisdiction is Atlanta. However, since we are District 5, and there aren't any other divisions in the state of Georgia, that expands our jurisdiction. So if someone in North Georgia wants to join the UNIA, they would be responsible to Division 421. If someone in South Florida wants to join the UNIA, if there aren't any other local divisions, they would be responsible to Division 421.
Thank you. And those are the 5 districts. District 5
District 5 is 3 states: South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida.
States. Okay. Okay.
But if there was a division in North Florida, that with that taking place, then anything south of that division, we would lose jurisdiction over, if that makes sense.
I got kicked out again. I'm sorry, President John. The reason I'm asking is because there's a doctor from Liberia that I met yesterday in the spa. And her mother worked for the United Nations, and she's based here in Virginia. And I was thinking of signing her up under Division 421.
That is, yes, that's fine. Yes, that is possible. We can do
okay.
we can do that. Because
Thank you.
there's not a local division in her jurisdiction.
Virginia.
Yes.
Brother John, where is our next closest division?
Probably Baltimore. Or no, DC, I think. Well, DC, Baltimore, they right beside each other, but I think DC is first.
Oh, so it's important to speak then to Brother Moima. Is his name Moima? The gentleman we went with, to the graveside of.
No, that would be Charles Butler and Laureen Butler, the leadership in Baltimore. I mean in DC.
Okay. Oh, okay. So they wouldn't fall under our division. This person here in Virginia.
No, I mean it's up to it's up to that individual.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks.
But yeah. Well, Brother Cornelius, DC would be our next closest division as of right now. We got 2 minutes. Who elects the officers of charter divisions? The division. So each division is responsible to elect their own officers, with the exception of the president. Bonded. Who in the division shall be bonded? So have some form of financial insurance for financial matters. The president should be bonded. Financial secretary, treasurer, chairman of the board of trustees. Per the Constitution, these offices should be bonded. We are not bonded currently, but at the same time, we don't have a lot. It ain't like we got a lot of assets. We pretty much right now, we just work through our treasurer, financial secretary, and myself as president to maintain our division bank account. But as we get into, real estate, assets, businesses, individuals will need to be bonded per their office. Last slide. Which 2 offices is it unconstitutional for family members to hold in a division? So if you got a brother and sister or husband and wife, the family members cannot hold these offices. So if I'm president, I can't have a brother or sister that's secretary, treasurer, or chairman of trustees. My wife can't be secretary, treasurer, or chairman of trustees. I hope that makes sense. But just to prevent some of that conflict of interest, and make sure we have some clear, little bit of diversity, and it's not all just a family thing. And the last question that I wrote: what are the responsibilities of the male president? So that's a good stopping point. Next week we will go into the responsibilities of the local division leadership. So Constitution section, we went into the responsibilities of the High Executive Council, President General, and next week we will bring that local and look at responsibilities of male president, female president, and local officers. So are there any questions or comments as we close?
Yeah, one quick question, President John, that previous slide where you said who elects the officers of the division.
Yes.
And then it says the division with the exception of president, what does that mean? We don't elect the president, or the president doesn't elect the officers?
The officers do not get the final say on the selection of your president. Although the local president is elected, quote unquote, the president is the only office that must be approved by President General.
Okay, because that was going to be my next question. Then who approves the division president? Okay, I got you. Thanks.
So yeah, the President General has no say so on our Lady President, our first, second, third Vice President. He has no say so. But we still have to have our president approved by the President General. So that's what I was, besides the president, we have complete autonomy as to who we wish to have as our leadership, is what I was trying to communicate.
Okay. That cleared it up.
Okay. Officer, yeah. Every charter division shall elect its own officers with the approval of the President General, with the exception of the president, who shall be appointed by the President General. So the appointment is a rubber stamp. We elect our president, and then we come to the President General and say, this is the individual that we would like to be our president, and he approves it. All right, if there aren't anything else, then we will go ahead and close out. And I want to thank everybody for your time on a beautiful Saturday. Appreciate that. Brother Najee, where you been?
Yes, sir. I'm here. I had to come in a little later. I had to take care of things.
Okay.
Has this been recorded? So for me to look at?
Let me see. Yes, it is. And I'm gonna send you the recording. Like I said, the fact that you are traveling, you are part of the main reason. Well, you are, pretty much one of the main reasons why we're doing this. So I want to make sure you have the information and are comfortable with your expectations at convention.
Okay, yeah, I'll look at the recording.
Okay.
I just would like to quickly add, President John, just to encourage Brother Najee to take a look at the recording, because when we went to the Philadelphia Convention, we had gone through a couple of these sessions with President John. And when I was there, I was so appreciative and grateful that I had gone through these sessions, because I didn't look lost. I at least was equipped with information. So whatever they spoke about, I could quickly refer or reference back to the Constitution, and I felt very comfortable being there. I never felt like out of place. Whatever discussions were being made, I knew how answers should go based on the Constitution. Thank you, President John.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Kuda. And that's, Brother Najee, that's what this is about. This is your first opportunity at a gathering, amongst the other divisions. It will be overwhelming. There will be a lot going on. And I just have to make sure I do my job of making sure you are as prepared and as comfortable as possible. So I will send you this recording. It's 2 hours, but please, take your time and review the entire recording. And if you have any questions, reach out to me as soon as you can.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Not a problem. With that, we will close out. And everyone, if you would, you can come off mute. Put your black fist in the air. Repeat after me. One God.
One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One destiny.
Africa.
Africa.
For the Africans.
For the Africans.
Those at home.
Those at home.
And those abroad.
And those abroad.
Race first, family.
Race first.